Yo guys, what is up? It is Nick. We are back, finishing up day 2's bracket breakdown. We're going to be starting out with Pitt and Wisconsin. Hopefully I can make this video a little bit quicker, just because hopefully I don't have to make it another 17-minute video. But let's get into this. Pitt and Wisconsin, probably the ugliest game of the tournament by far, 47-43. Happ led Wisconsin in every stat, and Robinson almost led Pitt in every stat, except he was 0 for 10 at 1-point shooting, so not good. And Pitt kind of really blew this one. They held Wisconsin to 16 first half points, only built a 6-point lead, and then proceeded to let Wisconsin score 31 in the second half. Just not a good game by Pitt. There's not much to talk about that game because it was so boring and it was so horribly played by both teams that I really just don't have anything to say about the game. So we're gonna move on from that to Stephen F. Austin, West Virginia. West Virginia taking the L. Stephen F. Austin just played better. West Virginia couldn't cause turnovers, and they couldn't stop fouling. Devin Williams played a pretty good game with 12 points and 17 rebounds. West Virginia also had no assists. Highest assists were tied by 2 players at 2. So just not a good game all around for West Virginia. I told you guys at one point that I felt bad about this game. I didn't like it. I didn't like Stephen F. Austin getting West Virginia for West Virginia's sake. And I was right. I'm pretty sure they beat any 3 seed because the 3 seeds weren't overly impressive this year. So I think Stephen F. Austin would have beat any of the 3 seeds, but Thomas Walkup destroyed West Virginia, completely dismantled them. And that's about it for that game. Pretty much they just got dismantled. Moving on to another dismantling, Texas A&M taking out my Green Bay Phoenix. I thought Carrington Love would play a much better game than he did, but he was not very good. Carrington Love went 1 for 5 from the field. 1 for freaking 5, and 0 of 3 from the free throw line for Carrington Love. I thought he would. I thought he'd be able to do a little bit more than that. Khalil Small led them in scoring. They hung with Texas A&M for a while, but they couldn't obviously pull it out. They kind of lost all momentum when they got up, I believe, 22-13. They kind of just were in that backwards mode from there, getting outscored. Would that be 79 to 42 or 43 the rest of the way? Which you can't let that happen, obviously. But Texas A&M gets the W and will face Northern Iowa. So let's move on and talk about Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa hits the walk-off 3-pointer from Jesperson to win it. I thought for sure I was going down that was going down as a loss for Northern Iowa, but they go ahead and knock down. Jesperson knocks off the walk-off 3-pointer, and Northern Iowa wins it 75-72. Texas made a heck of a comeback. They started off the game extremely hot and then gave up a huge lead to Northern Iowa, and then brought it back and then took the lead, and then it looked like they were going to win the game before they let Northern Iowa and West Washburn bring it back. So that should be an interesting game between Texas A&M and Northern Iowa. I think Northern Iowa has what it takes. I still like my pick for them in the Sweet 16, but we will find that out tomorrow. Moving on to the biggest dismantle of the day, Oregon embarrassing Holy Cross. Champion for Holy Cross had 22 of their 52 points. Boucher with 20 for Oregon. Cook with 13 rebounds. Oregon dominated thoroughly. It was Dunk City. It was Dunk City and Spokane, Washington. That's about all you got to know about that. Oregon just thoroughly dominated Holy Cross. I knew it was coming. Holy Cross was just not a good team. How they beat Southern blows my mind. And how they beat all those teams to actually get into the tournament blows my mind, because they aren't good. They're not a good team at all. But they got in, and then they got thoroughly embarrassed by Oregon. So that's about all that. Weber State gave a heck of a game to Xavier. even being down 11 at halftime, they brought that thing close multiple times, giving Xavier a heck of a time. But Xavier comes out with a win, 71-53, with a with a pretty. It wasn't an easy win. The score's not exactly what happened like in game. The game was much closer. Weber State played a nice game. I think, in my opinion, they played a nice game. Just didn't have enough firepower to make up the 18 points, that they lost by. Next, Michigan Notre Dame. Michigan gets off to a hot scoring start, up 41-29 at half, shooting threes beautifully, and then come out in the second half and proceed to just suck and score 22 points in the second half after dropping 41 in the first. You just can't allow that to happen. Notre Dame played a great second half. Pretty much just played a really nice second half, scored 41 in the second half. The game was closer than the 70-63. Obviously, Michigan had to foul at the end of the game, and it kind of ballooned it out a little bit. So Notre Dame comes out of there with the win. A pretty good game to watch. And then the craziness of not that game. We're done talking about Michigan Notre Dame. There wasn't much to it. It was just two hot halves for each team, and Notre Dame played better defense in the second half than Michigan played in the first half. That is about the definition of that basketball game. But the crazy thing, Northern Iowa, Texas ends, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, let me flip on over to see Cincinnati St. Joe's. And Cincinnati St. Joe's, when you flip over, you're seeing DeAndre Bembry. The assist was by Bembry. And then all of a sudden you see Cincinnati coming the other way, and Copain drops it off to Octavius Ellis, and Ellis cannot get the ball out of his hand quick enough. It's a hard loss for Cincinnati. I like Copain. One of the guards that I do really like. I liked in the tournament. I thought he could take them far, but he's only a junior. Troy Copain. He had 6 points in the game, not his greatest performance for Copain after having that nice 30-point effort against UConn. I believe he scored 30 against UConn in their tournament loss. But it was so crazy because I was watching Northern Iowa and I woke people. I was like, dude, you got to watch this. And they watched it. And then I go back downstairs to my command center where I was watching all the games, and I switched the channels to St. Joe's, and I'm like, holy crap, I gotta run back up and tell everybody to watch this now. It was just crazy. I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but it was pretty awesome, because if you watch it on your laptop, there's a bit of a delay. There's like a 30-second delay from what's on the TV, so it's not always synced, so it kind of ruins the score by being at the top, but that is going to do it for Day 2's bracket breakdown. I probably didn't have to split this up into 2 videos, but I decided to make them a little bit shorter videos and upload 2 since I don't have any Let's Plays going up this weekend. Just taking a little bit of a break from that, and they'll return probably on Monday or Tuesday. But we'll hit this up with the bracket breakdown. I'll catch you guys tomorrow with the recap of the last, or not the last, of the first set of round of 32 games. I guess we could take a look at all of my brackets. You guys can see exactly where I am positioned point-wise. So you got some brackets. The top ones aren't the ones that are main. It's the one right down here, 10th and final bracket, 93%, baby. In the top 93%. And I am going to lose. I'll probably drop down. Well, I'm in the top 7%. I guess that's probably how I should say. I'm in the top. My bracket is better than 93% of people there. But I'm going to lose some points here. I'll probably drop back into the 80s as soon as the Utah-Gonzaga games gets over with, because I don't have that game picked. I don't have a winner for that game because I had Seton Hall going to the Sweet 16. So that game doesn't matter to me because it's just going to hurt me when a winner happens. But we still got people up at 390 points. We got 2 guys at the very top of the overall leaderboard. MT Baker stole 1 and Razorback 69. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.